about
Okay, Tash Marshall Bean, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Oh my God, anytime.
So you've been super busy lately, traveling around all over the place.
Ty.
What?
I love you. The first thing we need to say is that you are made for this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is all so good. Hey, Jess?
I know.
It's only
He's such a natural at this.
it's only because I'm a blabbermouth, and I'm
Oh my God, nobody's more of a blabbermouth than me, but I don't know that I'm so good on the video podcast. I've done the other ones. This will be a new adventure.
Video is so much better because video
Then you can see us in our wine.
You got it. So, obviously the reason you're here is because I am in love with spin. I've been in love with spin since I met you back in the garage days.
Oh my God.
And
Right?
then
I met Ty before you.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when you came up to the door. I was like, who's that guy? And so when everyone came rocking in for the garage spin days, right?
Yeah. And the reason, obviously, I wanted Jess here for those that don't know, Jessica's my wife, and she's also a mortgage broker here in Calgary as well. But maybe turn a little bit, show them the sweatshirts, right?
More importantly, Jess Blaney is my second in command when I go to studios, right? She is.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys know this about me, but like I'm like energetic, like a little crazy.
You're kind of a big deal. Right?
No, not even that.
Okay,
I'm
first of all, Tash is the godmother of spin in Calgary.
Oh my God!
If any of you have ever been to a spin studio, there's a really good chance that Tash had something to do with its success, and that's why Tashy's on the podcast. So, how did you get into doing what you're doing today? Like, take it back. Where did you start? How did you give me the progression?
Like boutique or back in fitness?
No, like back in fitness.
Well, it's interesting because I actually was, and I tell my trainings this all the time.
And we're drinking wine because it's after 5.
Yeah.
We love to drink wine.
Oh my God.
No judging.
Can't live without wine.
Exactly.
I actually was so scared to go to a spin class. It's funny. Scott Wildman, one of the guys from World Health Club, he was teaching years ago. My sister actually got me a membership to World Health Club because I was so poor in my early 20s. And I remember him coming up. I was at the Edgemont Club, and I remember him coming up and asking if we wanted to come to a spin class when I was on a treadmill, probably an elliptical, actually. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm so scared to do that. And then at that time, I worked at the Delta Bow Valley, and the FedEx pilots used to come up. And one of the guys, Pat, this older gentleman who I loved, he was like, next time I come up, I'm going to bring a bike for you. I was like, okay, I haven't ridden a bike since high school. This sounds like fun. We ended up road riding out to Bright Creek, had lunch, rode back in. So we ended up riding 100 kilometers that day.
Road cycle.
I mean, like, not much. The last time I did, I got a bee in my helmet. The wind was against me both ways. And I was like, Charlie, sell the bike. It's out. Yeah, that literally happened. Anyway, so after realizing, oh my God, I can ride 100 kilometers outside, then I was like, I can try a spin class. Isn't that crazy?
And you did. And you fell in love with it.
Yeah, I did. But I also teach, people are like, oh, Tash, spin, but there's so many other things. Like I taught body pump. I taught the Les Mills programs for, I think it was 11 years. And I taught RPM, which was, so these are the programs from New Zealand. And they're all my education. Like these Les Mill programs are amazing. They are. Yeah. It's a foundation of everything that I teach and train is everything I learned there. So, you know, I taught RPM, I taught body pump, I taught body flow and body step, which I'm not super choreographed, but I was so, step touch was my favorite move. I'm like, hold here, step touch. Yeah, so that was my start. And actually it took me definitely a few more years to even get the courage to teach. Yeah. And that was kind of an intense process.
Which is crazy because you're so extroverted.
Yeah, I was front row like, yeah, you're amazing, you could do this. And they asked me, Bonnie, one of my girlfriends, finally got me. But I actually had 2 years of like urgent rapid therapy because I had this situation come up in my life and couldn't really deal with it. And so through that work, I was able to get the courage to even teach a class or go into a training.
That's incredible.
So I didn't even do that till I was 30.
Wow. And so what does spin mean to you today?
Oh my God, I love it. I love spin. I honestly, it's funny because I love spin, but I also love group exercise.
Right.
So whether it be your bike, the Megaformer for Legree, your yoga mat, like whatever it is that we do, we're in the business of inspiring other people, making them feel like $1 million, right? Letting them have a better day. So do I love indoor cycling? Yes, but I also love the art of group exercise.
It's amazing. I mean, as you know, the three of us have been to so many spin classes, but the energy in these classes is so empowering.
Yeah.
Right? We talk, before, we talk about inclusion, not exclusion. And
actually, you need a shout out for that, because I use that in all my trainings. So that's the tie line, the Tyler Blaney line, remember? It's like it's actually inclusive. You actually said we are inclusive, not exclusive. And I use that all the time. Yeah. Cheers
well, I'm glad
to the
you're
tie
using,
training line.
Whatever.
All my studios
I'm glad
know
you're using
that.
it. I'm glad you're using it.
Oh my God, right? Oh, and the wine tastes good. I really wish you guys could have some.
And so what about for you?
What do you mean, what for me?
Well, because
what does spin mean for me?
Yeah, you taught spin for a long time.
She is the program that I built. She just got and believes in it. And this is why she is my second, when I go to start a studio, I'm like, well, I don't think we finished that conversation.
No, we didn't. We can go back. We can
full
go back
circle.
There.
But this is why I bring Jess to all my studios, because I'm crazy. And then Jess is like the introverts, they don't even want to look at me. Like, they run the other way. But they'll go see our Jess Blaney.
Yeah. I mean, it's for sake of interview, I mean, I know Jess incredibly well. Obviously, she's my wife.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know Jess or just beginning to learn more about Jess is not super extroverted.
No.
Right? And so, you're somewhat of a private person, and you're but when you get on a bike in front of a class, it's like this animal comes out, and it's a totally different person.
I know. I wish she would be teaching just recently. But also, again, this goes back to, and I know we should be talking about the bike and the indoor bike, because that is my job and that's what I do. But I actually put Jess forward for teaching Legree at that time when Legree came, because you have the most gorgeous technique in whether it's on the bike or I just knew, I was like, Kim Leonard, like you need Jess Blaney.
Why do you think spin took off in Calgary? Well, maybe North America, like it has, because it has taken off in all of my experience as far as fitness is concerned. It is the one thing that's taken off like no other group activity. And why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think so many people are like, we invented this, we invented that. It was SoulCycle, I believe, that brought us to this next level. And the funniest thing was, like, Paul and Almira, the owners of One Cycle, remember they approached me to build them a program. And literally, I remember where we were. I remember sitting there, and they're like, we're going to get you to build a full body program. And I was like, we don't do full body on the bike.
Right.
Because to me, I was Les Mills trained. I taught RPM. We rode to the beat.
Right.
But we didn't do upper body.
Right.
And they said, no, we're going to fly you to LA. We're going to get you to discover all these classes and, bring back what you like, leave what you don't. And through that, I did built a program, but they were so progressive at that time. Because to be honest, I hadn't even heard of SoulCycle. Like, I hadn't heard of anything that was happening in the States with SoulCycle. So they, I believe, were the first people, I feel like they might have been the first people to bring in a full body workout studio to Canada. Because I remember everyone else was way behind them at that time, right? Yeah. And I honestly, because you'll see on some chats and people are like saying terrible things about SoulCycle, and it's like, we wouldn't do some of the stuff we do and the music that we use without what they did, right?
Right.
So I think
they like broke ground on the new, on a new way of using a bike.
Yeah.
So if say I just purchased a new studio and I wanted to open up specifically a spin studio, and somebody said, hey, you know what, you should really talk to Tash, what would that process look like? Like, to walk me through that. If I just, it's my first phone call with you, like, as far as your expertise and your consulting go, what does that, walk me through what that would look like?
Well, I think first is even talking to them on the phone, like, because some people just say, hey, can you send me a quote? And I'm like, I want to either connect with them or I want to talk to them on the phone. And my first question in getting to know them is, what kind of studio do they want? Because if they want that heavily choreographed, out of the saddle, super fast workout, then I'm not their girl. I can recommend someone that is, but my background is riding the bike. I believe we can go faster on the bike, like light jogs, fast jogs, but I don't believe in like multiple fast jogs and, you know, like, or 70% of the classes out of the saddle. What I believe is that 80% of the population can't go that fast out of the saddle with heavily choreographed.
It's funny you say that, because I'm 200 plus pounds. Hate to say exactly how heavy I am.
Oh my God, Ty, you look amazing.
But I mean, like some of this like sprinting out of the saddle.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't make this big body do that. It's crazy. Like I can keep up with the fast jogs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But these standing sprints, it's like, wow.
And again, for me, like if I teach them, I build up to it. So I'd never do it as a track 3 or as a climb track, because you want to build like within the journey of the bike. Like there's a journey of the song within a song. You have highs and lows within a song, and then you have highs and lows within a playlist. Well, standing sprints, if you're going to do it at the end. Like build, it's like crescendo of a whole class, right? Build up to it.
For sure.
But for me, again, knowing that most of the population has a really hard time with that, so I would do short bursts, up and down out of the saddle, and always providing the option to stay seated. Right?
How long does it take to build a program?
Well, this was a tough one at that time, because I decided to bring another girl with me from Good Life, and she was a newer instructor at that time, and I remember her not feeling like I was organized enough, so she went back to Good Life, and so I was like, yeah, all right. So I'm writing the whole program and doing it all. I remember sitting with Elmira and Paul and just talking about an attack track and an interval-based track, and they were like, draw it. And so we actually drew it on a napkin. We were like, all right, so your heart rate goes up here, and then it comes down. Like I had to draw it out, because at that time, I can't remember their background, but I think Paul was an outdoor rider.
Yeah, outdoor cyclist.
Elmira taught yoga. So again, super progressive, and I have to thank them. Thank you for my career now, because seriously, it's amazing. And I may have never gone in this direction.
And so many of us love spin today because of that. And for those that don't know, I spent a very small amount of time on the spin bike. Actually, I got certified by Tash to be a spin instructor.
He did.
I did it for about 15 minutes, and then I got
the sweat lap, and then you bailed on me. Anyway, life kind of bailed on all of us at that time. That was such a rough time.
Yeah, that was.
But we never got you back on the bike after that. I got Jess back.
You did get Jess back.
I've got lots of people back on the bike.
I needed it more than I knew it at the time, I think.
Yeah, I actually it was funny, because I remember Kim asking me from Legree, like, how did you get her back so fast? And I was like, you know what? I made all her playlists. So she didn't have to think. She could come in. She knew my choreography. She knew the changes in the music. Yeah. So I would make her everything and then just go teach. She would do it.
Sport, for me, has always been therapeutic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you just said it before. It's like, you needed to get back on the bike. And I find, and yoga's the same for me. Like I always say, I have worked some shit out on my mat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I've also worked some shit out on the bike. Like just to take all of that, whatever it is you're going through, and to be able to just leave it all on the bike is a gift.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Well, and it's a gift.
It gives me chills just talking about it right now, because I know how much it's positively impacted my life, right? And so I gotta assume it's the same for everybody too. I
feel like that also comes down to instruction, like from the instructor. I feel like empowering people, so it's very important to empower people, like to let them leave it on the bike, to leave everything. One of my I have a whole bunch of Tashiisms, and one of my biggest ones is, and I get so many arguments with instructors. I do, because there's that line of what brought you here today.
Yeah.
And but what if what brought me here was because my dad passed away, or I broke up with my boyfriend or, right? Like, and then all I do the whole class is remind you what brought you here today. And it's like, okay, well, all I keep remembering is that I had a breakup or my cat died or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think empowering, which again, I've had a lot of instructors argue with me on that. And I'm willing to argue, you know me. I'm willing to argue.
No.
Oh, yes. And not only that, if you're not a team player, I'm also willing to, right? So this is where some people love Tash, some people don't. Oops.
Why am I the only drinker? Oh, I guess I'm.
Oh my God, I'm trying to drink.
You guys are doing all the talking. So, did you just hit your teeth? Tash just hit her teeth with
live on the podcast. I'm very clumsy. Cheers. So I think it has to be done in a right way. I also go back to.
Is this yours or mine?
We'll share. Don't worry. I also go back to inspiring what's authentic to you. So I think that's really important. So for some people, they may have more inspiration in there. For me, I'm more like, easy won't make you proud. Put it on the bike. So it depends on how you inspire, but we don't inspire every track because we're not preachers, right? So I try and find that happy medium.
That goes back to the journey again, right?
Exactly. Full circle, Jess Belaney. The journey of a song, the journey of a playlist, right?
What separates?
Do I have wine on my face?
No, you don't. Do you want wine on your face?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just might have spilled a little. I'm not even like half a glass in.
Do you need some more Doritos?
I know. Maybe sun chips.
What separates a good instructor from a not so good instructor?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm
dynamic.
That word.
Would you say?
Do you hate that word?
I hate that word.
You hate the word dynamic?
No, I don't.
No, you don't, because you are.
I don't hate that word, but that was my first experience with.
Yeah.
Like maybe not being at a level where I was able to get in front of a class as I was told I'm not dynamic enough.
So, but you were, again, in every way
but
you
it
were.
Was it was a different type of dynamic that this one studio was looking for. And it was fine, but I think it's authenticity, honestly.
It's authenticity, and it has to be authentic to you. And what I mean is when you are on the bike, you are dynamic. But I think that people... It's all about building someone's confidence and finding their... Because I feel like if you have that fire in you, I'll get it out of you. I mean, that's ideally the goal. But I feel like you have to engage.
Oh, yeah.
Like I always say we're a star, but we're not the star of the show. The clients are, but you're on stage. And you have to perform, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to perform. You have to be engaging. You have to connect with the whole room. You need to be inclusive. Again, you're inclusive, not exclusive.
Do you is there a lot of your you call them students?
I don't know. I say clients. I think yoga more calls their clients students.
No, but I mean, so I have a spin studio. You know, I reach out to 15 of my friends who may want to be spin instructors. Yeah. I call you, you come in, you do the assessment, build it. Are those the students? Is that what, do you refer them? Or they're
the instructors. Yeah, okay. I would say instructors to be or whatever,
Are there, what percentage don't have what it takes?
Well, there's a pretty good percentage.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean, it can come down to so many things. It could come out to, like, again, just not getting it out of them. Because with Jess, we got it. I mean, I sent her right away. I sent her somewhere else to another studio, and I had her everywhere. Like, I believed in Jess from the moment I met her, which is why she's been by my side for all these years.
Right.
And then you by, like, association. But at the end of the day... I knew what Jess had in her. I just don't think I had enough time to get it out at that time. Yeah. And plus, I may not have had enough tools because that was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, and I worked a full-time job. And
exactly. But I think that also, I was going to say, let's go back to your question.
No, I was just, so what I was saying is, you know, how many make it? Yeah, how many make it?
So I think that there is the dynamic where we say, like, do you have what it takes to be up on that stage, like of engaging? And I think a lot of times people think they do, whereas they might not. And then you'll start them, you'll be like, okay. And then the class numbers might not reflect that. So I also believe it's a lot of work because we work with music changes. You have to know your music when you guys know.
Yeah.
You have to know your music so well. We make our playlists a week
And
before.
And
musicality.
8 count, right?
Yes, right, yeah. Which sometimes some of the people I worked with didn't even have musicality.
Yeah.
And then I'd work harder and longer with them, and then now they get it, and sometimes they didn't.
You might have to scooch in just a
Oh,
little
sorry.
bit. That's all right.
I was moving back.
But
So yeah, I would say a good percentage do, and a lot of the people of the studios I have started, they're still with them. Like there's a really good percentage of creating a studio, building a team, which is so important to me.
Right.
Is not just as training instructors. It's building this team and getting them to get to know each other and pulling any ego out, because this industry, as we know, has a lot of ego.
real estate?
Well, the fitness one, I don't know if real estate does. I don't know, but sometimes you can really see it, right? And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So this is where we have to remember it's not about us, it's about the clients.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's do you see people who they have it, but they're just not quite there yet?
Yeah, and I'll stay working with them. I'm relentless. I will.
Because you see it in them?
Yeah, I see it in them. And sometimes I can't get it out right away. But that's like, even with Jess, like I knew she had it.
Yeah.
And there were other people that I knew too. And I'd send them out to other places. I'd be like, yeah, you got this. I'll get you back.
Yeah.
Right?
It's almost too, it's that want to, right? I think, it has been my experience, not necessarily just with spin, but other things too, where it's almost a sense of entitlement.
That's kind of really happening. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. And I don't know if people are just not working for it, or they think it's going to be easy, or I actually had someone in the training tell me I wasn't honoring their way of learning. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah. And they were just like writing out this track, like hours of writing out a climb track. And it wasn't even meant to be like in a bad way, but I was like, you know what? Like, you can't be, because some trainers will give people, you need to pump at 0:59 seconds, or you need to get up at 37. But life happens. Maybe the class isn't ready to go.
Yeah,
I want people to have individuality within their track profiles.
Music changes, and
right.
Music changes happen frequently.
Right. So, but they were writing everything down.
Yeah.
So I just said, no, I need you to get back on the bike. And it was tough. Yeah, she didn't.
You know what I found in the beginning was the cueing. Right?
Yeah.
The cueing was the hardest thing for me in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then also too, almost forcing these motivational cues instead of letting it happen naturally.
Yeah.
I found in the beginning it was like, okay, this need to impress.
Yeah.
Right. And then combine your cueing with your need to impress, and what can I say that they haven't heard before?
Yeah.
And
well,
and then
that's just
it was so awkward.
But what happens is we get in our head.
Yeah.
And so that's actually happening a lot, where we're getting in our head, and so we're trying to add this whole empowerment part.
Yeah.
Where I've brought on an associate. Danica is working on that. Kristen is my assistant down at Mode now, and she has like a yoga background and bar as well, and so she's adding that empowerment aspect. Because for me, I can tell people, sometimes they won't believe me, but I was like, we'll talk about it. One of the questions I ask in training is, what is your biggest barrier from being your best? And a lot of times it won't be about the bike. It'll relate to life. So that is like some really crazy answers. But it gets people, like, if you can just, all of us, if we can just like get out of our own way, right? But it's a hard thing to talk, like, how do we do it? You can listen to all these motivational books, but really each person is their own individual. Each person has their own experience of what's put them in their heads, and it's very challenging.
I read this quote today, actually, which was quite fitting and interesting. It said, "Mountains are made from earthquakes." And I was like, holy shit. Like, that's deep, actually. But it was, it's so powerful. To become like, powerful and this majestic, beautiful mountain, you had to go through a lot of shitty earthquakes.
Oh yeah, so good.
Right?
I mean, I got it, but then I like double got it right there on the camera. Unbelievable. This is why I do podcasts without the video time, right there. Oh.
So
Man.
how many years have you been doing this now?
So teaching, I think I'm going on 16 or 17 again because I started late, which is funny. It's funny because I made top 6 across Canada for Good Life Fitness in my first. It was fantastic. In my first year and a half of teaching, I really blew up, and I have to thank all my girls that believed in me, my Good Life girls. But honestly, it's so funny because that it just made me think of that because at top 6 across Canada, like everybody else had taught 17 years. And I did make one friend, but I wasn't, they didn't love me.
But 7
But so that was like, so it was like I taught 17 years. And then, so I've been in the boutique world. I can't think of the boutique world, how long it's been now. I want to say maybe 7 years. Yeah. No. Oh yeah. Maybe about 7 in the boutique. And then I worked exclusively for studios. And then at one point, people in Calgary were asking me for help. And the studio was like, Tash, you can work with people outside of town.
But not in
town. But yet I was making I was making some money, but I was like working a ton and just all my energy was going in. And I was like, but I'm not like another instructor that works in oil and gas downtown. Like, this is my life. This is my job.
Yeah, this is your profession.
And it was a no-go. And I was so devastated. Like, I actually woke up in the middle of the night, like tears just booming from my eyes. I was just, both times I left the studios I was exclusive with, I was devastated. Yeah. And I just decided I'm not doing that. So I was like, it was like a divorce. It was like 2 divorces because you get so close with people and teams. And so that was it. I went out on my own. So that's been about, I want to say 3.5 years.
And
maybe
it's
4.
And maybe. It is exploded.
Well,
right?
it's been really good. Like when I first did it, I was scared shitless, and I was like, okay, well, thank God I have a Charlie because we'll see if this flies.
Yeah.
And but it did. I was very lucky because a lot of people had known me, so there was a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Which was like unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Like I didn't even when I brought Danica on, like 7 months ago, then I was like, oh, I need to start calling. I need to get his business. Like I brought someone on. I brought an associate on. And so I'd call these studios and like, well, have you ever done this? And I'm like, yeah, you're just eating shit. Oh, yeah, we'll call you back. No call back. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I hope I don't hear from you in a year when you don't get someone in to train you and you guys have inconsistency in your program. And all of a sudden you don't know why your studio isn't doing as well.
Yeah.
Right? So, but anyway, it's a very humbling moment.
How many studios do you think you've worked with now in total?
I think Charlie was counting and Andy Lynn, they were asking, and I feel like it might be 31 since I went out on my own. I think it's like 30, 31 that
And where are those? And where are those studios? In what provinces? What states? What?
Honestly, I know it's just I went straight out to Newfoundland. Like that was amazing. Bespoke shout out to you guys because I went to Newfoundland and I've been trying to work my way out east, but it's been tough.
Yeah.
So out west has been really good. Like my South Surrey crew, South Surrey White Rock, Spin House. Then to all my studios within BC, like K-Spin, like just all the towns, right? Like, or some of them were established, and then I just come in and do an amp up weekend. And then Alberta, so good. Saskatchewan, like I can't even tell you. Saskatchewan is amazing.
So
every town, I love them.
Is there one province? Is there one province that's like the Spin province in Canada, or is it still? Is it still evolving? Is it still gaining momentum?
I think in the cities, and again, I don't know if I have those. Yeah, I don't know if I have those answers because I feel like in Calgary with the boutique industry of, again, not just Spin, everything, it's so saturated.
Yeah.
And every time we turn around, another studio is shut down, which is really sad. Or they change ownership or they've sold and that sucks.
We haven't gone through easy economic times in the last 4 years and it's hurt everybody.
I know.
Right? So
only the strong will survive. It's been pretty crappy that way.
But even in the last 4 years, you're going out to all these studios that are new and opening up, which is
and they've done so really well. Good. I'm also the worst consultant. I never leave. Like I'm like once like Ride YXE started them in Saskatoon. Wow! I'm still like Shayna. Did you see this? But like, I'm the worst.
What do you mean worse?
Because typically you come in, do a training, maybe help with all the info that I've learned about starting a studio. Then you probably exit stage left, but not me.
They're your babies.
Yeah. They're
your babies, right?
Yeah, I love everyone. I can't even. Yeah.
Do you imagine if you were a kindergarten teacher?
I couldn't.
Could you have done something like that? Could you have been a teacher?
No,
if you look
you'd
back
have
now?
to ask my stepkids.
Yeah.
I would say probably not.
I think you.
I mean, I love them so much, and they know how much I love them. But growing up, I was like, I said, like, take everything off the table, clear the table. The cat ate the burgers, right? Or Ben ate the burgers, Jeff. You know. So yeah, poor Jeff, my first husband. Poor Jeff, but the kids still love me.
Yeah.
And I divorced well, and obviously we have Charlie. Oh my God, we have to shout out to Charlie, who's my assistant too.
Yeah, he totally.
Which he doesn't love being my assistant.
And she keeps referring to Charlie. Chuck Bean was on my podcast before this one, and he's a business strategist in Calgary and abroad as well. And so
eye roll.
Yeah, eye roll. I had Chuck on, so. If you want to watch that podcast, it's the one before this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we go full circle back to you?
Sure.
Oh, sure. You're like Ellen. You know when on the Ellen show when someone's like, "Oh my God, you're amazing!"
And
like
she changes the subject.
And she changes the subject really fast. Yeah. I would love to give her that feedback because I'm like, you have to let people want to know about you. Seriously. I mean, I think they want to know about Ellen too. But here's the deal. So Ty changes careers again, like. Oil and gas, you and my little Lizzie, yeah. I believe that you guys were just like, and new job. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, it was.
You and my little Lizzie were just on par for this journey. And then to go full circle into real estate and, oh yeah, you have to let me finish because he's just ready to cut me off. But so I start seeing stuff. I'm like, oh, LinkedIn, this. And Ty is like, you're blowing the world up. Like, you are so meant to be with people, right? And this is the thing, and not to say anything about real estate, but you have to make sure you find someone that's actually passionate about your life and your vision and what you're going to do. And that's you in real estate.
Yeah, thank you.
You love it.
I do.
I'll just answer for you.
I know, I do.
You love it?
I do. I do. And I mean, Jess can vouch for me too. I mean, oil and gas treated our family very well. For a lot of years. For a lot of us, yeah. For a lot, and I'm incredibly grateful for my years in oil and gas.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a realtor.
Did you?
Forever.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Always.
No way.
Because I love real estate.
Yeah.
And it was just, oil and gas was so good. So
it wasn't really in the picture. It was kind of just in the background.
And I actually thought about doing it as a hobby, but for those people that know me, I don't do anything halfway. So
that you can take to the bank.
So
oh my God.
So
poor Jess. I was like, how do you do it?
Yeah. So for me, it was like, I'm only getting in real estate if I'm doing it full time. Yeah. And
you got your opportunity.
Yeah, I'm working up to a year full time in real estate, and it's the best thing I've ever done.
Well, and Redline, like I actually, to be honest, I've never heard of Redline. So we walk into this office and we walk into that whatever that room is. There's hashtags.
The hashtag
all over.
wall. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys know, I love hashtags, right? I was like dying at this wall. It's amazing. Anyway, I believe that you guys, because Jess is also a mortgage specialist, right?
Yep.
And these two, you're the team. Like you guys, you're it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It was funny how the podcast started because
I can't even. How good you were. Tash, do you want to be on my podcast? And I'll note he asked me after Charlie, so I'm still not happy about that because Charlie only knows you guys through me.
Totally.
So that was shit. But anyway.
but it was fun.
You're unbelievable. You're so good at this.
I always wanted to do a podcast as well, secretly, but of course, there's some logistics involved. And then I met Kelly Scar, who's our chief operating officer here at Redline.
Yeah.
And Redline, we do Thrive Not Survive. That's Kelly's podcast. And I said, I always wanted to do a podcast. He's like, well, fuck it, do it. So I was like, okay. So this great girl.
Then he was doing a podcast.
So then I started.
I couldn't even.
I started doing a podcast, and now I'm doing a podcast, and I love it, and I can't wait. For
but it's
guest.
one thing to do a podcast because we're like you can't see.
Right.
this video podcast, and Ty sends me one because I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not great. As soon as a video turns on, I'm like, ugh. And you were unbelievable. I was like, it's like he's on professional TV. Like I was like, wow, Ty, really? Like, way to one up all of us.
Thank you.
Hey? You're so good at this. You are so meant to be in this industry.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Back to you. So
really, how about Jes?
Back to. Well, I could talk about Jes for hours and hours because she's my wife and I love her dearly.
Maybe we can get her back teaching at Mode.
One thing I do want to ask is, are you, especially because spin for you is all consuming, it's what you do, live and breathe all the time.
It is.
Are you starting to notice any trends? Like, do you see, this is going to be the next thing in group fitness?
No, I mean, I never really, I wasn't the one that noticed the trends. Like, do I think the trampoline's so cute and there's lots of stuff out there that's cool? Yeah. I love the rowing idea. I mean,
I haven't been. And boxing took off.
Yeah, like Magic at Undercard. Oh, whoa, right? Big shout out to Joanna Magic. And which is amazing because a lot of our original crew have like gone on to do other things. And that's how I got tied in with Mode. Morgan, one of my girls I trained, started Mode. Mode was her baby. Yeah. And she's since moved out to Victoria. But Mode would not even be a thing without her. And that's a great spot. That
was one of the things for my podcast because obviously I wanted to have entrepreneurs, business professionals, and game changers. Yeah. And Calgary is so full of entrepreneurs. Yeah. Like, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Calgarians are really, obviously I'm biased, I've been here for 20 years, but we're a really special group. We are not afraid of challenge, and we're not afraid of putting it all on the line and doing something.
But it is tough. Place. Like, I was lucky when I did it because I think a lot of people ask me, I just recently somebody was saying something about that, and I said I was really lucky because I had Charlie. So at the end of the day, Charlie had gone through a transition, but so I wanted to go out on my own earlier, but I couldn't because of his transition. Yeah. And so I waited and waited, and but I don't know. Like, people ask me, would you have done it if you were alone? I'm like, I don't know. I hope I would have. Yeah. But it's easy for us to say, like, game changer, but it's scary. Yeah. Yeah. It's so scary to go out on your own. And even for me, you have work. So I'd work for like 3 months straight every weekend. Go, go, go. I have Danica out of places. We're doing it. And then all of a sudden the summer looks quiet. And I start like vibrating in a corner. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be poor. Oh my God, no studios. Like, I got to start calling them again. And then they're going to be like, and have you ever even done this? I'm like, oh my God. Like, I am insane. Why can't I just relax and enjoy? But every day I'm just like, okay,
you're a go-getter. Because you're a go-getter. Jes, over the last 7 years, have you noticed a difference in Tash? Like, if you take the Tash from 7 years ago today,
right? Really, come on,
seriously.
Have I noticed a difference?
Like, just because we knew Tash is
like I'm calmer now, maybe, or no? Maybe a little thicker from menopause.
No, whatever. But just because we knew Tash as a spin instructor and a professional who helped start a studio to now this amazing consultant who works right across Canada.
You're crazy right now. Stop.
Oh, so
no. Because I'm doing the same thing as when they hired me for one cycle. I'm doing the same thing with other studios.
I like how you're answering for it.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Remember? This is why we need both of us when I start studios in the city.
See how good they are together?
Oh, we're so good.
I just sit quietly, and then when everyone's like, what was she saying?
I know. Jes, I'm so sorry. I even said to Ty, I'm like, don't let me do it. My poor stepkids. Cut them off their whole lives.
You know what? Like, the difference that I maybe have noticed is that, well, other than we've become way better friends than 7 years ago,
like besties.
Is that you really have taken, like, it's taken its own shape, because of you, because you've packaged this amazing energy that you have, and you take it to these studios, and it's like your logo says, and you can't maybe see it, but it says authentic, and it's just 100% authentic.
I'm on
and she
that
does
kick.
her
Yeah.
you do your thing, like
Yeah. I do.
I think it was different when it was like when you were,
well, because it was someone else's, right? Yeah.
Now,
although I saw the vision.
Your program is now your program. It's what you teach, and that's what you take to the studios.
Yeah.
And they learn from you, and then they maybe tailor it to them a little bit later.
Yeah.
And,
of course.
But you have your authenticity all the time.
I do. I'm on a big kick on that, actually. Poor Krista Major is going to be like, Tash, shut it. I am on this huge kick lately, and my poor studio, well, not my poor studio, Flo, but one of the instructors, Lisa's so sweet. She was talking about things they say in class.
Yeah.
And the way, so I think I told you about this. I'm on this whole kick. And basically, whatever she was saying, I was like, do you believe that yourself?
Yeah, you said that in class.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I did.
You said that.
So this is huge.
That was huge.
Yeah, so
right?
so she's like, well, as instructors, we're always teaching people what we need to work on ourselves. And actually, I've heard that from a lot of instructors, right? And I was just like, you know what? No, I'm over that. So unless you believe it, then you can coach that to your class.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe it,
Yeah.
you don't get to say it. Right?
You
So
should
how
give
so
your
how do you
example.
start believing?
Give an example. So, like, what is the most common thing people will say when they're like trying to be inspirational and like?
Well, I see, and that again
Or-
is so individualistic. But it was, I can't even remember what she said. It was something for me. I'd go to like, do you look in the mirror every morning and go, "Damn, I look good"?
Right.
Because if you don't, you should be.
Yeah, you're
Right?
absolutely right.
Because a lot of times we'll go say to someone else, like, you look amazing today. You're so gorgeous. When we went for lunch in your high heels and minus 20 winter, she's like, screw it, I'm over winter. And I'm like,
over
Jess, I
winter,
love
I'm
it.
wearing high heels and capri pants. 'Cause
Right?
it's done.
I got a great picture.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and again, it's taken me, like, let's look back. Like, I didn't even start teaching exercise till I was 30 because nobody believed in me. You know, I had this upbringing where I was in survival mode, you know, a lot of neglect, all that stuff and more. And at the end of the day, nobody believed in me.
Is that where your
So-
passion comes from?
It does. It comes from the fact that I want to believe in people, and I want them to know they're believed in. And yeah, it does. It stems from that, actually. Yeah. Because every person has a voice, and the thing is my sister and I weren't heard, which is fine. Again, I'm not like, oh my God, woe is me. We all have life stuff. But for me, if I can empower someone else to, you know, get their inner badass or whatever it is. So in a lot of these trainings, we'll have some younger people. Like I had, you know, in Meadow Lake, we just had one of Coral's daughters, 14 and 17, and she actually, I couldn't believe it. You know, and I'm sitting there saying, and I've had like 16-year-old in Cold Lake and all different ages, and you can say to them, and this is where I feel so old, because I'm like, you guys don't even know, like, if I had someone that believed in me at that age and said, you should try this, and I'm going to walk you through it, I'm going to help you through this, oh my God, where would I be today? I don't even know.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm meant to be right where I am, but you're right. I don't think I made that correlation, but this is all about getting people to believe in themselves.
I tend to think that's the way it is with, and I'm going to put you in this bucket because I love you, is
Okay.
Extraordinary people. I think that.
Thank you.
I think that extraordinary people come from their own experiences, whatever they are, and they choose to.
You either choose to survive
or
be a victim.
100%.
Right? And there's a quote, and we're going to be on camera, so I won't think of it now. But it's something about the most. Yeah, just drink it.
It's like,
It's okay. I don't have any
I got water. I got more wine.
God. I have it on one of my highlighted stories, and it's that quote about it's about some of the most seared people. Oh, you know, right after this is finished, I'm going to remember that podcast. Maybe we'll put it on your. Do you have a blog? On the podcast. We'll put it on the podcast. We're going to find that quote.
We'll put it on the
It's so
podcast.
good. This quote is so good, and I can't nail it right now.
What's the oldest spin instructor that you've ever come across?
Me? Tara McCool. I love it. I was like, I always need Tara with me too because she's older. No, I've had, oh God, I don't
Way
even
to call
know.
people out, eh?
Oh, she knows. Oh my God, she totally knows. If she were to see this, as soon as you asked the question, she'd know she was going down. But again, I think it's all different ages, and I'm okay if people are my age or even older. Again, I think having a variety of instructors, a variety of ages is fantastic. So I can't think of the oldest one. I really am going to hazard to say it might be me.
Yeah, no. But I just wonder.
48 up and coming.
I just wonder if you've ever had this amazingly dynamic 70-year-old lady that
I haven't yet.
I hope
so.
A spin instructor, right?
I've met some amazing, like the clients at all the different studios, and some of them I've actually been able to be at the grand openings, wow. And the changes from meeting those people that day. I had one lady at the attic that I could tell she was really nervous, and I just touched her hand. I said, "You're going to be okay," and she started bawling. And her journey from then to now at the attic has been unbelievable. But there's people like that everywhere. This is why we do what we do. Yeah. This is why we inspire and hopefully make everyone feel like $1 million, right? And so if they have a really bad day, they come in and we make them feel a bit better. Yeah. And maybe we actually change their lives a little, right? Get them healthier, get them, like, that's what group exercise is all about. And I think that gets lost in the prettiest picture on Instagram, or I'm a fitness influencer, or like all this different stuff, or I can't even, right? And it's just like,
it's not
peeling.
About the person who's posting, it's about the people who come to the class.
Yes.
You know, the one thing that I dislike about
the
one thing I dislike about social media is, you know, when we're scrolling through whatever our favorite platform is, it's always somebody's highlight reel.
It's true.
It's not,
and you know what? I'm that person too.
Yeah. So am I, right?
I am.
But it's not, you know, it's not showing people's bad days.
Yeah.
But if you get into the analytics of social media and those posts where I've been raw, look like shit, tired, speaking from my heart, those are the ones that get the most likes and the most views.
Yeah.
It's not this, you know, gorgeous $2 million house that I'm listing. Yeah. It's like me going, it's a tough day out there. Yeah. It's not easy. It's blowing snow, right?
But it is so true. And even you're the same as me doing these cold calls, right? Yeah, which I didn't really get very far. But the same thing of you door knocking and like, hey, I'm Ty, right? Yeah. Like, it's amazing what you have to do, but when you're passionate about it, it doesn't matter. You'll do it.
No.
You'll do it. Yeah. And you know what? It sucks when you get rejected, because it happens.
Well, that's life.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's life. Whatever.
Right? That's life. The one takeaway that I have, not the one, but the one that sticks out with me the most was that it never gets easier, you only get stronger.
Yeah,
and I think
that's RPM. I think that's my Les Mills. Like,
is it?
I think it's their line is, it never gets easier, we just get stronger. It's something like that. It's definitely their line that I've used for a lot of years. Thank you, Les Mills.
But I think that's the one of them that resonated with me the most, because
it's
so
true.
You just turn it up.
Yeah.
You turn up the resistance and you just
and this
hammer
is where
through.
people are like, oh yeah, I've plateaued on the bike. Like, I don't know. And here's the deal. I've never been an athlete. Never. Like,
I'm like, how do you plateau on the bike?
Well, people say that. I plateaued on the bike. It kills me every class, every time. All my people know. Panting mess. Authenticity, sweat driving down my face, and it's like it's actually gotten more challenging as I've gotten older, for the high intensity. You know what's so funny is when I was younger, I didn't realize the high intensity. I know it's interval based and I know that, but the high intensity is, like, I gotta tell you.
You know that little red knob that I'm looking down on?
Yeah.
I call that the accountability.
The results dial.
The
red dial is
the accountability dial.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no such thing as plateauing. Like, I'm sorry, give it another turn.
Right. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. People say that. It's never happened to me. But again, I'm not an athlete. I don't have an athlete background. I didn't really love sports. I loved group exercise. I loved being with people. I was literally the front row, like, woo! Because again, instructors never woo, but when they ask us, I was the big wooer. Yeah.
I'm a wooer.
Yeah.
I'm a wooer.
Oh my God. So I want Ty to come to my class all the time, because at the end of every track, he's like, woo! Right? Except for I didn't hear it.
I embarrassed her in Good Life the other day.
Oh my God, I love it. Doing the virtual classes.
We're doing the
love those.
virtual RPM class, and he's hollering at the TV.
Oh my God, I love it.
And I'm
Ty, like life goals right there.
Right.
This is why I want you guys in my class every week.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God, who cares?
So
He is.
what do you?
A little. It's okay.
You married him.
I did.
So for 2019, is it busy for you? Are you seeing more studios?
It's like
up?
busy and then quiet but anyway, I have to just relax into the process. But I am starting to do more open trainings, and I think that
I wanted to talk about that.
So I'm excited because a lot of times I get
talk through that. What is open training?
So open training is because I work exclusively with studios. So studios hire me, I go out, I work with them.
And the studios bring the instructors. So when you go to the studio, you're not recruiting instructors. They've already done that. You're just training the instructors.
Sometimes I've coached them on
how
to have a little bit more.
I know you will.
Thank you. Just a little. Perfect. Great. Oh, thanks, Ty. A lot of times I'll coach studios on the type of person you're looking for an instructor. Literally, one of my biggest, I waitressed for 18 years. Mm-hmm. And there are so many times that I go to a restaurant and when the server walks up and makes me feel like so good, like, hey, how are you? And they're really like, I was like,
but shouldn't everybody serve tables in their life?
Oh, I need to write. Okay, so there's so many books I want to write, but one of my biggest one is everything goes back to waitressing. And I can say waitressing because I waitressed, I bartended, because now it's like server. This is where I'm going to be 48. I'm owning waitressing. Everything in life, serving your kids, serving the dogs,
customer service.
So it is so pivotal in this industry, in the boutique fitness industry, in your industry, everything, your industry. Like it's so pivotal.
Huge. Okay, oh
my God, you're keeping me on task.
Yes. So
personality.
Back to the open.
So open training is, I always get like one-offs, like, hey Tash, are you doing a training, or can I get into your training? And so last year I was gonna do one. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I put out the dates, and then I didn't even have enough time to promote it or reach out to the people that had reached out to me.
Right.
And then I got booked up with studios. So I was like, oh no. So I really made the commitment to myself that this year I was really going to do it and try and even do a couple, and really I'm in, like I'm committed.
Yeah.
And also bringing Danica on has helped with that, because then I know she can go somewhere and I'm okay to be,
you can do
I can do it and not just be worried about studios as well. So, so we're doing an open one in Calgary on the first weekend in April. So I think it's like, I'd have to look. Someone pull out a phone.
And where's this happening? You don't know yet?
So Mode is hosting.
Okay.
Mode is hosting this one. But again, it's not a studio. It's not for Mode. It's just so say someone wants to further their knowledge on the bike, or say they teach a drill-based class and they're like, I want to explore that riding to the beat, or say they want to just up their game on the bike, or they want to hit the podium. Now, with me in one weekend of training, you won't be, and I'm telling people, like, you will not be able to just go teach the next day.
Right.
It took me 3 months to train the original team in my garage, which is what we were laughing about before, with the bylaw coming by and getting fines and everything. But 3 months to train the original team on a variation of their program. And for me, 2 to 3 weekends at least. So in one weekend, you'll get some track profiles, you'll get all my isms, and then all adding in that inspire aspect from Kristen or Danica. Kristen happens to be on this next one. And then I'm going to do one out in Toronto. So I haven't officially, I've kind of put it out there a little bit, but in Toronto in the first weekend of May, I'm going to do one there. Yeah, right?
How important is social media today to your business?
Oh, it's everything in my business. It's how I get most of my referrals. Is
really?
Through social media. Oh my God.
Can you imagine
unbelievable.
It's
unbelievable.
What you would have had to do before social media to get to where you are today?
She'd have to make more cold calls.
And at the end of the day,
she would have had to make more cold calls.
Oh my God. Yeah. But I'm not a rock star on social media. I'm just learning all the time too.
Yeah.
But and this is where Charlie goes crazy, but like everybody that responds to me, I always respond back. Right? Like even my birthday, when people are like, happy birthday. Yeah, I respond back to Charlie's like, you don't need to respond to 300 people. Just write a grandma. I was like, oh no.
No, she does.
I respond to everyone.
Every time I post a comment, she comments back.
But it goes back to, I want you to feel important. Like Like if I see a picture that I think is gorgeous or something, like again, I'm the queen of like love and this and
I'm still gonna talk you into getting your real estate license.
Oh my God. Okay, but after this career. Let's see how far we can drive this one. But anyway, so I'm going to do this open training in Toronto. And then, so shout out on Instagram, one of the people or the groups that started following me was called, I'm pretty sure it's Exercise Toronto. And I just happened to see them and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a space to host a training. And they were like, Tash, we got you. Like, we're going to find you a place. And I was like, well, no. Just if you see anything, like...
Yeah,
so
wow.
Big shout out to these guys. They end up finding me Andy from Legacy Indoor Cycling, who, this guy is insane. He's just won, like, top instructor, I think, maybe across Canada. I think it was Impact or something.
Really?
Yeah, or whatever the one is out in Toronto versus ours. This guy's insane. I talked to him on the phone. I'm like, whoa. And he does all the Schwinn trainings. So then I was a little like, oh, well, ours is like rhythm based. And he's like, no, Tash, that's okay.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, no, you can have the studio. So anyway, this Exercise Toronto, make sure you follow them. They hooked me up. Never even met them. Right?
Wow.
So of course I invited them to training.
Have obviously, imitation is the best form of flattery. Right? Do you find are there others attempting to duplicate what you're doing today?
Well, I think there are lots of others that are doing it.
But there is no
they're getting
there
contracts.
is no Tash Marshall Bean though.
Well, according to you guys, which is why I love you guys and you're always in my corner. But yeah, there are a lot. There's tons. There's tons now. And there's some that are so amazing, like Barry, actually, another shout out to the Fitness Career Masteries. That's who I've done my podcast with. So he's actually a competitor of mine. And he's based out of LA. He had a huge contract over in China. And we ended up meeting through his podcast. And he is like, I've recommended business to him. He's fantastic. So
is this something you can take and go do in Europe and overseas?
Well, I could. I was born in Britain. I have a British passport. So I definitely am trying to break in overseas, but there's a couple of problems is I can't find the time to even like try and attempt to do it. I've been really struggling with that. And I 100%, do I want to break in overseas to all the smaller towns? Like the cities can have their cities and their studios, which is fantastic. But the smaller towns, like I don't know. I just love working with the smaller cities and the towns because these, in Canada, like I feel like they're the heart of every country.
Sure.
Like the people that I have met.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, and they'll say thank you for coming from Calgary, and I'm like, actually, I'm from Harvey Heights outside Canmore, and I'm from a river road outside of Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. Like I'm actually from a smaller town than the towns I'm going to.
Yeah.
I just happen to have lived in Calgary for a long time now.
So for Europe, there's got to be spin studios in London and Paris.
Yeah, so they're blowing up over there. Like for sure, they like all the big cities. For sure, it's all happening over there.
Obviously, RPM started in New Zealand.
Yeah,
and then North America kind of took it to another level. Is Europe? Have they been doing it for quite some time, or are they just
Les Mills?
No, just spin in general. Spin today, as we know it. Like,
well, I mean,
the whole
I met the guy at the Idea Conference that started Spin. I met Johnny G. I met him last year at the Idea Conference. And I was like, Johnny G, you invented the indoor bike. Like, I'm so grateful. And he's like, what kind do you ride? And I was like, well, you might not like it. And he was amazing because there's so many people that are drill based that I want to say they bitch about riding to the rhythm.
Yeah.
And again, that was my background from Les Mills. We rode to the beat for Les Mills. So I was already halfway there. And Johnny G was like, well, I'm agnostic. I love everyone. Blah, blah. I was like, this guy is unbelievable. So anyway, I got a huge picture on Instagram for sure. Moments in life. Johnny G, thanks for inventing the indoor bike. Oh, yeah, that was a moment.
That's passion right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, from him to start that. So again, that goes back. Spin's been around a long time, right? Indoor cycling's been around a long time. I feel like that movement of the upper body started to come in. I know it was Soul Cycle, like it was.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's been in the last, 8-9 years.
I think it's longer.
Is it?
Yeah, maybe.
But it wasn't mainstream for a long time.
Yeah. What's funny is I always knew I was going to be a trainer, but I didn't know how. At Good Life, I was a team leader for RPM and Body Pump for years. Years we were team leaders. And so I'd mentor and I'd work with instructors, but they go to national training, like you'd be a national trainer. And I remember applying, but we had so many in Calgary, maybe I wouldn't have got it anyway, but we had so many in Calgary at that time, you didn't even have a hope. And so I was like, how am I going to work and mentor with people? So again, shout out to Elmira and Paul that believed in me to build them a program way back when.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I knew where I wanted to go in my life, but I was like, I don't know how to work and mentor with people or like how to just break out. And so it was amazing.
And you've done an incredible job.
Aw, you guys are so are you.
So
you're changing careers and killing the free world, man.
Yeah.
And we're podcasting.
If people want to find you, how do they find you?
Well, social media, Training with Tashi, and it's Tashie.
Yeah. And
then website, Tash Marshall Bean, 2 L's in the Marshall. And really through the website, through you guys.
You're so humble. I love it.
Oh my God, no,
Thank
honestly.
You. Thank you for coming.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming. Cheers to you guys.
Thanks, Tash.
I'm so excited for your new careers.
I love you dearly.
It's not even new now. Love you more, man. Yeah.
We'll end it there.